minds think alike. Great Minds Podcast. Great minds think alike. Great Minds Podcast. Great minds think alike. Great Minds Podcast. Great minds think alike. Let's rock. You're now tuned into the Great Minds Podcast. You're now tuned into the Great Minds Podcast.
All right, welcome to the Great Minds Podcast. This is Derrick.
This is Vaughn.
And we're here with the legendary Miss Michael Hyatt.
It's a pleasure.
Thank you. It is an honor to have you on.
Love you. Thank you for having me.
Yes, absolutely. So we just give a brief introduction to you. Miss Michael Hyatt is an extremely talented actress, versatile actress, I should say. You know her from popular shows as The Wire, Snowfall, Donovan, West Wing. I mean, we can go on all day, but and much more. So thank you again. It's really an honor to have you on.
Definitely.
Thank you for having me.
All right. So so Miss Hyatt, why don't you get a little bit into your background?
Born in England. Parents, mom and dad, are Jamaican. And when they got married, they moved to London. Lived there for about 20 years, had my elder sister, myself, and my brother, and then moved back to Jamaica. I lived in England for 4 years, and then Jamaica for 6 years. And then at 10, mom and dad separated, and mom brought the children to Maryland, Silver Spring, Maryland. And we lived in Maryland, DC. I think high school we moved into DC. Went to college, undergrad at Howard University, and studied acting, and then moved to New York. Lived in New York for, maybe I think 15 years.
Okay.
Brooklyn, downtown Brooklyn, I guess. And then moved to what I call it, Washington Heights.
Okay.
Right? And then moved to Harlem. Then moved to the Poconos, actually. Just got claustrophobic, man. I was
We understand.
done with New York, and I just, my then fiance, we were looking for a place and we couldn't afford New York, and so we saw Jersey. Couldn't fully afford the Jersey that I wanted.
Right.
And took a drive one day to the Poconos, and was like, I found our place.
There we go.
Poconos, and then that relationship ended, and it was the right time when The Wire was, I don't know what season it was in, but my manager said, maybe we should look at LA. Maybe it's time to graduate, because at the time there wasn't a lot of television happening on the East Coast.
Gotcha.
Mm-hmm.
And, we had done as many Law and Orders as we could do. That was what we could get, really, at the time from New York, camera-wise.
Right.
And made the move to New York, to LA in 2003.
Awesome.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
That's great. Because I know what I was going to touch on, Ms. Hyatt, is your transition.
Call me Michael.
Michael, I will definitely, Michael. I have to be respectful.
Yeah,
be
absolutely.
Respectful all the time.
I feel your respect and love. And done deal. Call me Michael.
All right, Michael. We'll
like
do. So I want to go back. So when you say you lived in England and then Jamaica and then came back to the States. So when you came back to the States, was that a culture shock for you when you were 10?
Oh yeah.
Was it? I was thinking that, because that's a big difference.
Huge. I mean, I've lived in so many culture shocks. Being in a culture shock is more the norm for me than not. My first life was a Brit, right? And then we moved to Jamaica, and I moved with a very Brit accent, and I remember being made fun of by my peers, the kids at school. And then for 6 years later, moved to Maryland. And I had a Jamaican accent because, of course, as a child, you adapt, right?
Right.
Yes.
And I have a Jamaican accent, and I moved to Maryland, and I'm 10 now, and I have an afro, and I'm a Jamaican. I'm an African child, so I'm coming with a Jamaican accent and my afro, and people were just like, "Who the hell are you?" So again, I learned to adjust. So and it's funny because being here in Los Angeles actually is the longest that I have been in one place where I live now. And it's interesting to me. The shock to me was it was the longest that I have been in any one place. So to see, how neighborhoods grow, they change, I had not ever been around long enough to see that.
See the change.
Right.
So I'm like seeing buildings topple and new buildings being developed, and I'm just like, shit, that's a culture shock to me. And then I've been, even simple as moving to Washington Heights from being in Brooklyn. Washington Heights, where nobody spoke English. It was all Spanish. It was Dominican and not a lot of Puerto Ricans, mostly Dominican.
Yes.
And I didn't know Spanish. So I had to buy one of those Spanish English dictionaries just so I could go to the bodega and buy whatever I wanted to buy. Constant culture shocks, but it becomes, and then coming to Los Angeles, where after living in New York for so long, and everything was around you, it was in your face. Coming to Los Angeles, where it was diverse, but everybody was separated.
Yep.
That was very strange for me. That was a major culture shock that took a while for me to get used to. Right. So it's just, it has become the norm. I am accustomed to being left of center. And I think it is now where I am most comfortable. Not trying to fit in, just embracing my differences and, reveling in it, really.
Right.
Definitely. That's great.
So your dad was an actor as well, right?
Yes.
Okay. So did he push you into acting? Did you want to get into it because you saw him? Like, what got you into that?
No, Daddy didn't push me into acting.
Okay, that's awesome.
No, I remember as a child, he spent most of his life in theater. And I remember as a child going to the theater to see and just, to be with Daddy. And I would be backstage with the other actors, and I was always there was just this light that I lived in that I wasn't aware of at all. And, I guess I was around it so much that I didn't see it as a career. I was 10, whatever. And when I was in high school, I was convinced that I was going to study child psychology. I was a terrible student. I was like a DF student, terrible. But I just thought, I was going to study child psychology. That was what I was going to do. And then, my mom was the one who said, but you're an artist. What are you talking about? But I didn't see it as a career because my father, he was a theater actor, and it was a struggle to make ends meet. Being in the theater, you don't get paid a lot, and you struggle and you sacrifice. And I just didn't see it as a career. And then the moment I got to Howard, something just lit up in me. I saw the stage. There was just something that knew that this was where I belonged. It just spoke to me. It has been my calling, period. Done.
Okay.
Yes, it has been.
Yes, it has been. And I can definitely tell, when I started doing some research, and you're such a tremendous actress, and I've, for all I can remember, for everything you touch, you're always great in it, right? So when I did my research, I realized that you worked on stage, you were on Broadway, you were on, and that shows in you being able to adapt to so many roles. So do you think that, I think we had a actress on a few episodes ago, and we spoke about, she also worked in the theater as well. And I can tell that too, because when you come on the scene, you kind of steal it, you take the scene. So I think you learn that pretty much from being on stage, because every day you have to do it, you have to adapt. Is that safe to say? Is that why you're able to do so many roles and so many different things?
I don't know. I mean, I think I certainly am an advocate for actors embracing the stage. I think the process of creation that you naturally go through in theater is so very necessary. The rehearsal process, the process of breaking down a character, just the process of, it's what I do. And the theater taught me this. These are, scripts from all of the episodes of Snowfall this year. And
wow.
And you go through it, you create your folder, and you break down each scene, you break down each moment, and it's just a part of what I learned as an artist in the theater that you don't necessarily get when you're doing camera work, because camera is about time. You do all of that stuff at home. If you have a scene partner that you can work with, or you do it with the wall, or you do it with the mirror, you do it with whatever. But in theater, it is a natural give and take. But at the end of the day, my love, I think truthfully, truth is truth, and storytelling is storytelling. And no matter what the medium is, all of these stories that we are telling requires you to bring your full self to it. So as long as, there are numerous artists, actors who do not have stage experience. And as long as they are willing to bring their full self to the story that they're telling and to the person's story that's being told, I don't really think it matters. Truly, truly. Yeah.
Okay. Great.
At some point early in your career, you worked with Spike as well as an assistant? Yeah, we dig it. Yeah, we're digging in.
Where did you get that information? Oh my God! So
we have someone on, and you
yeah,
need to know everything about him. What was that experience like?
I was working I was in downtown Brooklyn working at. I had recently moved to New York from DC. Yeah, DC. And I was working at a department store, A&S department store. I don't know what the hell it is. Maybe it's Macy's.
Macy's.
And, just doing shit work, just doing whatever I could do to survive. And I was auditioning backstage. What is the general publication for auditions? When you don't have an agent, which I didn't, you look at Backstage and you audition for anything. Anyway, I auditioned for something, and I got some stage thing, and work begets work. I was mixed with some actors in this show, and we were talking, and somebody said that Spike is looking for PAs, production assistants, to intern on his next thing. It wasn't anything acting, wasn't any New Jersey Drive. That was the so I wrote, it was an essay you were supposed to write, why you want to be a PA or whatever. And I wrote a long ass essay, and I got the job. It was an internship, but it was beautiful because the reason I was it's just the way spirit puts you in places. And if you are available to it, you make the best of every opportunity, and that opportunity brings another opportunity.
Definitely.
I was in New York. Yeah, I'd just gotten there. I was temping. And, as a secretary, because I had no waiting table skills. I was not a server. I didn't know how to do that. But I did know how to answer a phone. I didn't know how to type, but I knew how to answer a phone. And back then, if you couldn't wait tables, you could work in the office. So, and I must have gotten something from backstage. I went to an audition. That audition stunk, I think. But as I was walking by, somebody pulled me and said, "Oh, you'd be great for this commercial. We need a commercial partner, a scene partner." So I auditioned for it and I got it. And that's how I got my SAG card. I did a Maryland lottery commercial. Funny enough, I was living in New York, but they took me back to Maryland. I was like, oh, okay, I can get to visit my mom. So when I got the internship, we were doing great. They enjoyed my company and stuff. And they said, "Hey, are you an actor?" I said, "Yeah." They allowed me to get, because I was working for nothing, they allowed me to fill out a SAG voucher or something as an extra. And so I could get paid as an extra. So now I was a PA, but I was actually earning money, and I became an extra on the show, on the film.
Wow.
And I think there was one scene where they needed somebody at a funeral or something. And so I was a featured extra in the, it's just amazing how, you're just put in places, and there are no coincidences. If you allow yourself to just say yes and work without a script and just move when you feel that push behind you, just go. Don't ask why, just go. And you find yourself in a place that you never imagined, but it's one step closer to where you want to be in a roundabout way.
Right.
Definitely. That's a great story. And definitely a lot of people need to heed to that too. By taking an internship is very key. A lot of times people associate everything with compensation. I need to get compensated before I do anything, but sometimes those lessons that you learn that can open up the door for other things. So with that, by being in the PA, you see where that happened with that, but you also learn how production was working on the movie. So you were able to see things. So you were able to see, you had the stage presence and know how to work on the stage. Now you're seeing the behind the scenes working, what goes into that. How was that process for you when you saw that?
It was so, I started out like 6 blocks down from where the set was or where the action was happening, locking off the street so that no cars would come. And, you go from there, and then they push you over to holding where the extras are. I don't know how many weeks that thing took. I got a chance to talk with casting. I got a chance to understand how casting happened, how production works and what works with what. And then I got closer, and I was working on set now. And because remember, I came from the stage, so I didn't know anything about camera work, right? So I got a chance to talk with the cameramen and to see the director do how they do, and to see all of these things. And it was just a sponge for me, a sponge. It was like I had gone back to school, and invaluable. It was beautiful. I was grateful. So
everyone listen to that. Listen to that. Everyone that's listening and watching.
Yeah. Be humble. That's all.
Just say yes. Say yes.
Okay.
Know what you want. First, you have to get quiet so that you can hear your truth, right? And it's not the noise of what your parents want for you, what is trendy, what your friends are doing, what you think you should be doing, what will make more money. Fuck all of those things. Be quiet, get real still, and listen to your own truth. And when you are at that place where you have connected with that truth, then just say yes. Show me how. Just say yes. Don't even create a diagram of how it's going to happen. Don't even create that, because most times it's going to take you in a roundabout way that you think is crazy based on what your logic said on paper. Forget that. Just say yes. Show me how. Say yes, say thank you, and say help. And then open yourself up and just see it come. But you really got to commit to that yes.
Right.
Because if it's yes, but, you're shutting it down.
Mm-hmm.
It just has to be yes, thank you, help.
Right.
I like those words.
So I want to talk about The Wire is my favorite show of all time.
Yeah, mine too.
I don't even know if I'm entertaining a conversation. If I feel like a show's better, it's The Wire. That's the end of it. Before we get into your experience, I just want to talk about one of my favorite scenes that you had. It was season 2. The scene with McNulty. They were saying D'Angelo's death was a suicide. They wanted to be done with it. McNulty being McNulty, he's always obsessed with his work. He kind of broke it down to you, and you were kind of like this is not suicide. He was just like, they don't care. I don't know why I care, but I just wanted you to know. I felt like that was a pivotal part of your role, because it was the first time you questioned Avon, or you questioned String, or because in your mind going into that, why would that even happen? And I also thought that was a scene where you were like, you really knew D'Angelo wasn't built for that life, but you kind of wanted him to be, because Avon was Avon. So I just wanted to share that piece about one of my favorite scenes. What was your experience on that show, and how'd you tap into like the Baltimore flavor?
That scene was rather interesting. Now, I always interesting. Many of the roles that I've played, I think the same thing here with Snowfall. I did not interact with the majority of that cast.
Wow.
And that was the first time that I had worked with whatever his name was, the McNulty character. And forgive me,
Dominic.
I forget his last name. Dominic.
Yeah, I got the last name. Dominic. Yeah, I got the last name.
Yeah, it was the first time that I had worked with him, and I didn't. Man, that scene I remember that scene because it was really rough doing it. And there was a part in it, because for me, there's a part of it where you learn the lines, you understand the story, the story in the scene. We're not even talking about the overall, just that moment, just that scene that you're talking about, or that you're studying for that day. And you connect to the story, and then you just have to let it go. You learn your lines, and then you just let it go, and you allow yourself to be present for whatever is going to happen in these moments that are about to be created. And I remember there was a manila folder, and he threw the pictures.
He threw it. Yep.
Yeah.
He threw the pictures on the table, right?
Yep.
And he spilled out onto the table. And all I saw was my brother.
Oh, okay.
I just saw my brother. And I was a fucking wreck for the rest of that. And we had to do take after take. And I had to learn how to be present and then shut it down, because I knew that, that's a camera thing, that's not for theater. Theater, you are in it fully and you do it and then it's done for the night. But with camera, you got to do it take after take after take. and then, a different angle and a tighter shot. And I had to learn in that moment, how do I hold on to this moment and not just spill my beans all in one take, because I got to do it 7, 8, 9 more times. So that was a really hard journey. Connecting with Baltimore, baby, to be truthful, I won't be romantic with you. I didn't know Baltimore. I didn't, my goal was not to connect with anything in particular, but the truth of the words that were on the page. Because that is everything that needs to be told is right there. Even in between the lines, everything is right on that page. And if I allow myself to fully give myself to the story that is on the page, to the woman that is on the page, and the moment that is existing in this moment, then everything else is universal. I find that people from Baltimore connected to Brianna, that African people all over the world connected to Brianna, is not so much about Baltimore. It's just the universality of the story that's being told, of the woman that I had an opportunity to portray.
Right.
She is in every community where there are African people. And that's what I did, tried to do.
You did a great job
at that. Totally great job. Because that's what my next question was going to be in the same vein. You do such wonderful work, from The Wire, I got to say, to Ray Donovan, to Snowfall, all that. How are you able to bring so many characters to life like that? And it seems like you're able to bring everything to life. Like, how are you able to tap into that? Because that's like a gift that you see people that act in a certain way, right? I can see you do anything. I see you in comedies and it fits right in. I see you in dramas, fits right in. Some people and some actors, and I respect all the acting profession, but sometimes so-and-so shouldn't have did that. That was a stretch. But for you, it's not a stretch for anything. So how are you able to do that? It doesn't matter what you do. How do you do that with your characters?
I love you guys. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I don't have a, forgive me if I sound flippant. I don't mean to be, but really, all I try to do is allow myself to connect to the truth of the woman on the page, the woman whose story I've been asked to tell, or I have chosen to tell. That is it. Really, that is it. And that's it. Because really, when you get down to it, it's funny because when I first started, after graduate school, my manager was unique in that she didn't just send me out for Black women. She would send me out for one of the first roles that I got in television. One of the first series regular roles I got in television. What was the name of that? Anyway, it was written for a white male. And my manager said, okay, so you're going out for this one. I was like, what the fuck are you? And the energy of this character is you. And I don't care that it's written for a white man. You can do it. And I went out there and I auditioned for it and I got it. So it's not, there is an energy. There is an energy in a person. And when you allow yourself to connect to that energy, connect your soul to that soul, then everything else is effortless, because that's it. It's only about the soul connection. And once you allow that soul connection, nothing else matters. And everything then fits because you're telling the truth. And when you're telling the truth, you don't need to mask it with anything. It's just there. It just is. And
Right.
and that is what you as the audience member connects to, the truth of that person.
Definitely.
Right.
That's a great answer. I was also going to add one thing. When you mentioned about your man just sending you out for the white male role or whatever it was, right? As being an African American actor and female in this business, we know how that goes. How do you avoid any kind of typecasting, or how do you walk into that, and how do you navigate through that throughout your career, I guess?
I think one of the things that have saved me, well, I think I have been typecast, to be truthful. I have been typecast, luckily, in telling stories of strong women.
Yes.
That is how I've been typecast. I am the bitch lawyer. I am the caring doctor. I am the earth mother. I am all of those different energies. I'm the strong one, the defiant, whatever. So I have been typecast, and I know what you're saying. I haven't played like the hooker or the girl on the corner or anything like that. And those women's stories need to be told too. But thankfully, I've had the opportunity to play professionals. I guess that's what you would say.
Right.
And I can't tell you the how. I just, there's a point you just have to, who do you see yourself as? Hold on, let me think about this. You have to commit to who you choose to be. Who is your essence? What is your energy? What is the truth? Again, the truth of your energy. Who do you want to play? Who do you want to be? What aspect of yourself do you want to represent? In the beginning, you go out for anything that you can get. You just, because the performance, most of the time, the performance is just in the casting office. And if you can just do a good job in the casting office, it doesn't matter if you don't get the job, because that casting director is going to be casting 30 other things. Yep. And so you just have to show up and do your best. And just not limit yourself. And even when, and sometimes if you can find the representation, but here it is. I was waiting for it to come. The voice, find your voice. Find the strength within yourself to have that conversation with your agent that says, yeah, I know you see me as this. If they're not forthcoming with, but Michael, you can, or but Susie Q, you can do this, then you say, I can do this as well. I can do this as well. Allow me the opportunity. I may not get that role. I may not get 50 of them, but allow me the opportunity to step outside of what you think I can do and do something else. And especially in a time where we are going through this cultural revolution, this racial cultural revolution, where people are being encouraged and supported to find their voice, it is a perfect opportunity for artists to use this energy, embrace this energy, and use it to speak their own truth. Demand the opportunity to speak in a different voice than what they may have expected of you. Yep. And 10 times they're going to say no, but maybe the 11th time they will say yes. And also, no, that's it. You've got to find your voice. You've got to find your truth. You've got to connect with who you are. I mean, there are actors that I have known, you know, when they first began, the kind of roles that they were playing, you know, it was this, that, and whatnot. And as they matured, they learned the business and they grew. As they matured, they embraced more of their power and they grew into other roles. And you just have to commit to the longevity of it. You have to commit to 20 years down the line. Just be in it to win it and know that you can say no and you can say yes, but just say yes to yourself, say yes to your truth, and the other shit will follow. I promise.
I hope everyone listens to you. Hearing it's great wisdom. Great.
All right. So we want to move on to Snowfall, which is probably my favorite show out now.
Yeah, pretty much.
I heard you just started filming. I hope that's true.
Yes.
Oh,
yes.
Okay. All right. So that's the first part. Yes.
We've been shooting for 3 weeks now. We're back. Yeah.
All right.
Okay.
So we know you there as Sissy Saint, Franklin's mom. Before I get to my question, what I do love about the show is the character development from everyone. I mean, you got Franklin from being like this kind of nice kid, but has an opportunity to get money, and then he finally like has to put his foot down. You got your character that's kind of like skeptical to let your son in, to like almost like being subservient and saying, all right, this is what we're going to do. You know, I'm going to back you, and you're kind of like in the background a little bit. Yeah. And you got Jerome, who was like, you know, gung-ho, but like how last season ends, obviously we can't get into what you're talking about it. I think Jerome's kind of done, you know, after the whole incident with the cops, and I think he's starting to see that things are not worth it. So I feel like he's kind of falling back a little bit. I mean, I guess we'll see when we start filming. And then Mel's character is just heartbreaking. You know, you get this girl that's like about to go to Spelman like the next weekend, and then like just like that, she's a heroin addict. So what I want to ask is, do you have a connection with Franklin because he's from the UK as well? Like, do you guys have some type of special bond? That feels like a real mother-son relationship.
Yeah, it does. It definitely does.
Yeah, does that help the relationship at all?
No. The connection with Damson, Damson was one of the first people cast on the show, and the pilot was done, and they tweaked some things, they changed some of the characters, they've changed some of the actors, but he stayed with the show. And I remember the first time I met him was when they were testing me for the part. They brought him in to do what they call it, a character test or whatever the hell they call it. And there was just something about our connection that was just, it was just kismet. It was just soul connection again. And it has stayed that way. This sweet baby. I mean,
it's evident.
He's turning 30. I think he turned 30 this year. My goodness. You know, when we're on, well, I don't know what, it just, when we're working together, it just feels very organic. It feels effortless. I mean, I have a son over there, and he's playing Fortnite right now. And, you know, Damson is an extension of that. I mean, maybe where I am at this point, just being a mother, you know, you see these young African men and you just want to hug them. My son, Damson, Isaiah, who's Leon.
Leon.
Just these beautiful energies, these wonderful African young men that are blooming. I'm in love with them, and I embrace them all. I feel that, and we feel that. Damson and I feel that when we're working.
Okay.
Definitely.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's great that now we're seeing, you know, our stories being told by our people, or people from our culture. How do you feel about that as well? Because it seems that that's such a, you know, I think that we can tell our stories the best. Now, I'm not saying we don't need help from other people, but we know, and as you know, if you're seeing the script and you're going, all right, so-and-so wouldn't really say that right here. Like, you know, so how often are you able to ad-lib certain things on various shows, but especially Snowfall? How's that process?
The writers are, first of all, thankfully, we have an incredibly diverse team of writers. We have a strong African presence. We have a good balance of men and women. We have the LGBTQ community represented in our writers' room. But Latino and white, of course. And what's beautiful is that we have there is a camaraderie among the artists, among the writers and the actors. There is a trust that we have with each other, that thankfully they trust us to respect their art, their contribution, their art, because it begins on the page, right? It begins with the vision, the gift that we're given, and then the commitment to put it on the page, so that we, actors, can then pick it off the page and bring it to life. And I have found that if there is a thing that doesn't vibe with my spirit, it's very easy to go to the producers or to the writer and say, can I adjust this? Or what does this really mean? Where is this going? And we break it down. And if things need adjusting, we adjust it together. There is a great deal of respect for both parts, respecting the writer's contribution, and also respecting the energy of something, and trusting the energy of something, both the actor and the writer, so that if it needs to be changed, we'll change it. And if it is that the energy is correct, then we as the actors, we honor that and we say it true to form. So it's a really beautiful collaboration with the story as well. You know, we're brought in every season, and the journey of, you know, where we're going this season is discussed with the executive producers and the writers, and the input. It's back and forth, so that by the time we get to the stage to start filming, we're all just really a nice woven kente cloth.
Okay. So one quick thing about that. So actually, when you get your script and everything, you guys have the script all the way to the end of the season, or do you don't have it, or do you kind of get it as time goes? You know, give you season 1, episode 1, episode 2, and so forth.
You know, up until season 4, up until this season, I have chosen not to be aware of the episodes ahead of time. I asked not to be. I mean, we were offered the scripts if we wanted it, and I asked not to be exposed because I wanted to protect the newness, the freshness of
Definitely.
each moment.
Makes sense.
But then during this revolution, during this hiatus, this reset that we've all been in, I wanted to make sure that we've had a lot of time to think about all of the truths that are happening now. And we were all concerned. We wanted to make sure that we were honoring ourselves, our ancestors, our stories as we continue to tell this story. And we were all nervous, like, you know, is this something that are people going to want to continue talking about Snowfall? Are people going to want to be about the drug story and about the this? And it is how you tell that story. So I asked for all of the scripts because I just needed assurance that we were still heading in the right direction with all of the consciousness that has been, you know, brought up in our faces, that we were still honoring the story and honoring our people at the same time. And yeah, so for the first time, I have this book that I'm able to, you know, flip through all of them. I don't have 10 yet. I don't have the final episode yet. There's still, I think the executive producer is still writing that one. The showrunner is still writing that one. But this is the first time that I've allowed myself to. I feel good about what they're doing. I feel good about what they're doing. And I think you as the audience will feel the same, still feel connected, still feel the universality of it. Yeah. I hope so.
No, I think we definitely will, because the one thing that you guys have done that I think has always grabbed people, it's not about the drug aspect of it. I think people, when you hear it, you might think that, but once you really watch the show, it's not about that at all. And as you see it, you see a young man struggling to become a man. You see the different pitfalls of his neighborhood, and then you start to see him weighing, you know, basically his consequences. What from his actions, the consequences that happen from his actions. You start to see him, you know, things happen. I don't want to ruin for anybody. I haven't seen it yet, but if you haven't, you've been on the rock. But you know, you see what's going through his mind, and he's second guessing his decision that he made. And it's not always going to be, you're not always going to be up, you know, and even when you're up, you know, you got to worry about something else. So I think it's a story on top of a story, and so many layers to that it will always keep, well, at least always keep us.
And what was important for me, and what is happening in this story, what was important for me is to make sure that the African family is being honored. And in that African family, that my African men are being honored. Not just through Franklin's story, but through Alton's story.
Yes.
The presence of the African man in the family dynamic is very important to all of us. And Kevin Carroll, who plays Alton, is doing a tremendous job.
Oh, yes.
I treasure working with him. What he is doing with that character is so very important, and I commend him, and I commend the writers for where they are taking this journey with this man, because that
he's
is
showing a lot of growth too.
Oh, absolutely, and you're going to see more, and it's complicated, and it's beautiful. It's important as you are showing all of the strife,
right,
that you focus too on the love. Because it is always the love that gets us through the hardships. Always has and always will. And that's absolutely a part of the African dynamic.
Yeah, he's rehabilitating right in front of our eyes, as a father, as a former alcoholic or addict, and all that.
And even being a vet, you know, how many of our black you know, fathers or uncles have come home from, you know, a war and have all that PTSD is going on, and he was part of the Black Panther Party.
Panthers, yeah.
And you know, and you seeing all that stuff happening. So his character is definitely appreciated.
Yeah.
Valuable, yes.
Yeah. Yeah.
So we want to tap into. I saw a little flyer that you are going to be in a movie with Denzel.
Yeah.
Wow,
yeah.
that is major. What are your thoughts on that one?
You know, it was beautiful. It was beautiful working with, he said, call him D.
He too smooth,
Very smooth. But boy, you know, working with him, he's at a point in his life now where he is more interested in sharing his wisdom, sharing his experience to the generation of people coming up. And I had the opportunity to just soak up his teaching, his energy. He was incredibly supportive of me. He shared stories with me about this, that, you know, it's stuff that, you know, I watching in his movies he is an incredibly generous man. He's an incredibly spiritual man, and that I loved so very much because we connected there definitely, and it was really peaceful working with him. Really peaceful. The term, and I don't know the Bible very well, but the term "Am I my brother's keeper?" is the term that kept coming up during that time with him, and it was beautiful. The film is called
On the Little Things.
The little things. Yeah, we know it. We know it.
We tapped in.
I don't know when it's coming out. I mean, I think it was supposed to come out in November, but I don't know if that's still. Anyway, whatever they do with it, it was a joyous experience. Beautiful.
Awesome.
That's great. So, Michael, we know that you're a great actor. What do you do besides act? Like, what kind of music are you listening to right now? Who do you?
Oh my gosh. Okay.
Yeah, who do you like?
I'm a nerd. I don't know very much. I really don't. I don't. But I love. Well, we used to have playlists, but on my iPhone, when I'm doing my workouts and stuff, it's Jaheim.
Yeah, that's a throwback.
That's a Jersey guy right
That's
here.
a Jersey guy right there.
Really? Is he from Jersey?
Oh, yes, he is.
From New Brunswick, New Jersey.
Oh gosh, that man's voice. I love his stories. And then Eamon Joseph Klanger introduced me to Gregory Porter. I love Gregory Porter. It's like jazz, and it's jazz. It's just, his voice is just beautiful. And then I do a lot of the old school stuff, and Charlie Wilson and
Uncle Charlie.
I'm old school. I'm totally old school. And then Neo, I love Neo's new stuff. And then of course, you know, Buju Banton.
There we go.
And Stephen Marley. Who else? Kim, definitely Kim, and Angie Stone. Oh my gosh.
Oh yeah.
I love Angie Stone. Yeah, so those are my artists, man.
That's your artist. That's a lot.
What else are you watching on TV besides the things that you're in?
Okay. I am totally, so in the morning, you know, I have the elliptical in my bedroom, and I try to find things that are action movies that just keep me going, so I'm not looking at time and stuff. And I was running out of movies, and then I discovered Netflix, and then anyway, Lovecraft Country.
I'm trying to get into it.
Are you kidding me?
I'm trying to.
I haven't watched. I've heard people like on two ends of the spectrum as far as the show goes.
You know what? I have to pay attention because I watched it twice. I mean, I saw 2 episodes and I thought it was okay, but I got a little lost in the second episode. So I'm going to give it another try and really focus.
You know what? You know what though? We were just talking about this. So Netflix has this thing where they have, good for them, they have created a section, you know, like favorites or, you know, where they have Black stories. That's how they identify it, right? They have a section where, and I really just love seeing myself on camera. I love seeing myself, my African people, my stories, our stories being told. There was one, I can't pronounce his name for shit, forgive me, British actor, who, the boy who harnessed the wind. Chifatel, come on, you know his name.
Oh, I know you're talking about.
What is his name? Brilliant.
I'm gonna look it up right now.
Come on,
I gotta see what else has he been in.
Something, wasn't he in something slave? Something.
12 Years a Slave.
12 Years a Slave.
Was he in that one? 12 Years a Slave. But why is this thing not coming up right now? 12 Years a Slave. Anyway, he wrote it and he directed it. There are so many. Oh, what is his name? Okay, hold on. I'm going to tell you.
Oh, shit.
Come on.
Shewato Ejiofor.
There you go. Ejiofor. He wrote a film. He wrote a script called The Boy Who Harnessed the Wind about a young African child who learned how to make windmills to generate electricity, to work the water pumps, to pull the water, to relieve his town of famine because there was a drought. It is a brilliant film. But I just go on Netflix, I am more interested now in exploring stories that I may not have given my attention to. If there's an African director, if there's an African writer, if there's an African, and I say a person of African descent, writer, director, actor, executive producer, that is what I'm giving my energy to because it matters. Remember, I don't know, you guys may be too young when they used to say, we're not going to produce African films or Black films because Black people don't go to see these films.
Yep.
Not that now, everybody is. And that's, I just want to soak up anything that has someone of African descent attached to it, you know?
Yeah.
And I find that there's some amazing stories. And the reason that one of the reasons that I love Lovecraft Country is because it's not, it's a unique, it's not just retelling old things. It's just a completely different consciousness. It takes you somewhere completely different, you know? And then I'm also enjoying very much the empowerment that women are experiencing right now. There was a film with Charlize Theron. She executive produced Underground. Is it Underground? Is that what it's called, brothers? Come on, Charlize Theron. She this film about another sci-fi kind of movie. But one of the main characters is a young African woman. Beautiful. And then Jamie Foxx, I don't know if he executive produced this, but Jamie did a film about drug trafficking. But a new drug had been created.
Oh yeah, it's on Netflix, right?
Yes.
I haven't seen that.
Called Power or something like that?
Something like, yes, Power. That was the name of the drug. And it features a young African woman. She is basically the lead in it. It's all about this woman's journey. So the more I can find stories, African stories, and also African women stories, I'm all over it, man. I love it.
So that's great. So how about what are you cooking?
Okay, well, you know, my son is very picky, and he only, well, if he's not eating chicken nuggets and it is curry chicken, brown rice, and then, you know, whatever greens like collard greens or broccoli or he loves Brussels sprouts. So mostly I'm doing curry chicken, Jamaican curry chicken.
Let's be clear.
Definitely.
Definitely.
Yeah, my son.
I used to cook a lot, but my son isn't interested, so I just, you know, do whatever he wants.
Get him a 20-piece to keep it moving.
Curry chicken. Like I cook like on Sunday for the week because that's all he's gonna eat during the week. And then on Friday it's break the routine. Friday and Saturday it's break the routine, and we have, actually
pizza, whatever. Yeah.
Not pizza. We're allergic to eggs and dairy.
Oh,
so
wow.
Okay.
I'm not vegan, but I just stay away from anything that eggs and dairy.
It's not good for you anyway. Don't worry about it.
And I find that I don't miss it because there are so many alternatives now that I'm fine.
Right.
But it's basically just curry chicken and rice.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, Michael. At the end of our show, we end with a rapid fire type of section. So it's like a this or that. And we get the same reaction from everyone when we bring this on. It's fun, nothing too crazy. You ready to go?
Yes.
All right. Well, what's your favorite season of The Wire?
Killing me. Wire. Favorite season of The Wire. Favorite season. I don't remember the seasons.
Okay.
I remember moments.
Well, if you tell me, I can match the season up.
There was a moment. It was with Wood Harris and me and Idris when I ask if he knew it was a suicide or something like that. I just remember that moment between the three of us being it was a strong moment. I live in these moments with these people, not the storyline necessarily, the moments. That one, that whatever season that was.
That's probably 3. Did String say something like you wouldn't have had the heart to do it? Was it that one? Well, that might have been a scene with him and Avon together. You're probably talking that's got to be season 3, I would imagine.
It's after my son had died.
Yep.
And I still didn't know if what was his name?
Avon
had anything to do with his death.
It's probably season 3 then.
It must have been season 3.
And String didn't make it past 3, so.
Oh, he didn't? Okay.
Yeah. All right. I'm gonna take it back to music. So, what is your go-to song?
It's a Jaheim. It's
You think Jaheim?
Something about that brother's voice. Roughneckness of that voice. Go-to song.
Jaheim's like a young Teddy Pendergrass. That's what it was. That's pretty much what it was. Yeah, because my mom said the same thing when he first came out. She loved the voice. Let
me see. You know who I also, this artist named Major?
Yeah.
Yeah. Why I Love You and Honest. Love those. All right. And Anthony Hamilton too. Okay, hold on.
Oh, yeah. You can't go wrong with that.
Oh man, so many. I Ain't Leaving Without You. Looking for Love. Jaheim. This is all Jaheim.
So if you were driving your car right now and say, I got to go somewhere, and you put the first thing you can put on, the first song that comes to your mind, I got to play this song while I'm on this drive.
You know what? It's a little raunchy, but Jaheim has a song. I don't remember what it's called, but he's talking about back in the day when they were broke and they didn't have everything, and 4 chicken wings and rice is what they had. Yep. And it's him and his woman, but they made it work. I think. And he
I know the song.
Days because, now that he's famous and shit, it gets all, convoluted with a lot of high maintenance bullshit. But he remembers those days, and those were the essence of, I remember that song. I like that song. I would put that song on.
Like I always say, if you wasn't with me when I have 4 chicken wings and rice, you can't be with me when I have lobster and shrimp.
Just all the noise that comes with it sometimes. You just want to go back to that basic stuff when there wasn't a lot of confusion. It was just you and your woman and poverty, and you made it work.
Right.
Yeah, I love that. Yeah.
That's great.
All right. Beanie Man or Buju Banton? Well, okay.
that was quick. Okay, this is an open-ended one. Is there a role that you didn't go for that you wish you would have?
That I did not go for.
Yep, that you something say, you know what, I'm not gonna do that, and then you know what, I should have did that after it's fact. It could be a movie, it could be a show, a TV show, it could be anything that you just didn't take the meeting or didn't go for
it. Hold on. The only thing what's coming to mind is I remember when I was in New York, I was asked to consider Saturday Night Live. And I didn't trust myself enough. I didn't think I had the chops for Saturday Night Live. It was an intimidating prospect. And I regret not trusting myself enough to have just been horrible, but done it anyway.
Yeah, give it a shot. Okay.
Yes.
And I just wanted to ask that because I want people to know we all have the biggest fear. Fear is the biggest distractor of anybody. So I want people to know, no matter who you are, no matter how successful you are, it's always fear that creeps up that can kind of keep you paralyzed from doing something that you could have been great at. Right. So I'm glad you were able to say that. That's great.
Oh yeah. Sabotage is a real thing.
Right.
Yeah.
It is a real thing, and I know that because when I ask people, when I say, please just say yes to your truth, for many years I did not allow myself to say yes, and I sabotaged my career because I was afraid. Right. I was afraid to be seen. I was afraid, the fear of failure, fear of success. I lived in that fear. And I was more comfortable being the underdog when nobody was looking. I would struggle to get to the top. I didn't know how to sit in my power, sit in the light, and allow the world to see me. And it took a lot of getting there, getting scared, running away, losing the opportunity, being broke, losing everything, fighting my way back, getting there, being in the light, cowering again, running away, losing, till I finally, when I became a mother, and I realized that my son was relying on me to show him the world, to show him how to behave, to show him how to be, that I caught a clue. I got a smack. I finally listened and allowed myself to live in my light and embrace my power and just stand there and take it. I'm still shy. I'm still awkward. I'm still socially awkward like a motherfucker. I don't do well with compliments, but I don't know who, there's arguments on who said the phrase, whether it was Nelson Mandela or the Course of Miracles or whatever it was. But I believe that as artists, it is literally a gift that we are being given. And it is a job that we are being asked to do, to pass on the message. What right do I have not to pass that message on? I'm asked to be a vessel. And so I allow myself now to embrace it by taking away the ego out of it and embracing my responsibility, my job to be that vessel of truth, the message that is being carried through the art, through me. Be afraid and do it anyway, because that is where the truth is.
Right.
Right.
All right. Well, we want to thank you for giving us your time. We want to thank you for the infinite wisdom that you've given us and the listeners and whoever's going to watch this podcast. And, again, just really appreciate your time.
And your wisdom, man, your wisdom.
Well, thank you.
Time to create this podcast and communicating with people who need to hear your voice, who need to see themselves through you. Thank you for your wisdom.
I appreciate that. Thank you.
Wow.
Do you want to shout out any of your social media, website, or anything that people can
Facebook, Michael Hyatt. I think Twitter and Instagram is Michael Hyatt 16. That's my birthday. Yeah, and that's it. That's
okay.
That's
all right.
Social media very much. It's these connections that
gotcha.
matter.
No problem. And I want to say one thing too. Please stay on. Stay on.
All right. All right. So you can catch the Great Minds podcast on YouTube, Apple Podcast, Spotify, SoundCloud, anywhere you can listen to podcasts. And thank you again, Michael Hyatt. It was a pleasure. Thank you all for listening.
Great minds think alike. Great Minds podcast. Great minds think alike. Great Minds podcast. Great minds think alike. Great Minds podcast. Great minds think alike. Let's rock. You're now tuned into the Great Minds podcast. 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 Derrick and Vaughn, oh boy, like Cam on a song. Culture safe now, thank God. The panic is gone. Time to heal from the pain. Take the bandages off. You gotta win. The stakes are high like a cannabis bomb. Okay, it's game time. Picture with the bars, that's a FaceTime. Great minds spreading faster than a rumor through the grapevine. Vaughn and Derrick, deserve the merit. All salute. It's more than just a podcast. Show it's like a movie. Vaughn and Derrick, what up? Great minds think alike. It's the Great Minds podcast. Great minds think alike. It's the Great Minds podcast. Great minds think alike. It's the Great Minds podcast. Great minds think alike. You're now tuned into the Great Minds podcast. You're now tuned into the Great Minds podcast. You're now tuned into the Great Minds podcast. You're now tuned into the Great Minds podcast.